This is Doug DeMuro, and today I'm going to talk about the 6 best cars for under 10 grand. I do these videos, best cars for 40 grand, best fast enthusiast family car, 10 grand. You know, there was a time you could buy a lot of cars under 10 grand. That is not the case anymore, but there are still some good cars under 10 grand. We sell them on Cars and Bids. I'm going to tell you my 6 favorites for under 10 grand.
Before we get started, are you ready for your next cool car? Sell your enthusiast car on Cars and Bids. Trading in your car to dealers means you aren't getting market value for your car, leaving you with less cash for your next fun car. Just look at our recent sales of these cool cars compared to current trade-in value. This is a trade-in offer, and this was the Cars and Bids result. This is a trade-in offer, and this was the Cars and Bids result. This is the trade-in offer, and this is the Cars and Bids result. Get started now on carsandbids.com. Sell on Cars and Bids and join the best community to sell your enthusiast car.
Okay, 6 best cars for under 10 grand. This is in no particular order. I just kind of found them and put them on a list. So here we go. First car that came to mind, or I found, the 4th gen Chevy Camaro Z28. I can't believe how cheap these things are. Man, this is cheap speed. These cars were always cheap speed, and they remain cheap speed. Nobody likes the 4th gen. The 4th gen was the weird looking one that was like pointy and came up in the back. I think its design has aged so well. I think I didn't like how it looked at the time, but I have come to truly love the way these 4th gen Camaros look. They're very of the era in a way that like 60s muscle cars are of the era. And I have a suspicion that over time, this design will start to be more beloved. This particular Camaro, we sold on Cars and Bids for $7,400. It had 32,000 miles. Admittedly, it was an automatic. I've never driven one of these. I'm not entirely convinced the manual was additive to the driving experience because it was kind of a boat of a car. So maybe the automatic is better, especially if you want to like go drag race. This car was in Nebraska. It was in rural Nebraska. This is it, man. Like 275 horse, 5.7 liter V8. This was the era when GM just stuck a big motor in a car that was not all that well built and got him out there. And by the way, this Camaro is not an outlier. There are a lot of 4th gen Camaros and Firebirds with V8s that sell for $7,000 to $11,000. And it's a cool car, and they're in good shape. This car has 32,000 miles. Like, this thing is in good shape, and it is a fun performance enthusiast car. There might not be a lot of 4th gen love out there, but there is right here. And I think it's really cool. I just think it's so cheap. And yes, it is not a performer as much as the 09 Camaro that came out later, the 5th gen, the 08s. Like, it's not as cool as those. And yes, the design is not that great. And the interior kind of sucks. But like, it is a big old V8, and it is a fast American car. And it still came from an era. I love the American cars that are retro. Obviously, like the Ford GT and the 05 Mustang and the Camaro and the Challenger, they all have these retro designs that are really cool. But I did love something about the 4th gen Camaro that I loved was it was General Motors trying to redefine what the Camaro was to create their own like special design. And that's lost in a lot of American car design today. A lot of American car design today looks to the past, to when America really did lead design. And you won't find like a Camaro that really takes a big risk in terms of design. They all iterated on the same retro shape for 15 years. This car had its own shape, its own V8. It was doing its own thing. They were going for it, and they didn't do it all that well. But like, they did do it for $7,500. They did it pretty well. When it was a $35,000 car new, it was like, I don't know, $7,500, folks. Like, come on. This is really appealing. I'm stunned 4th gen Camaros don't get more love at their price point. Okay, next up on cars under 10 grand that I think are awesome, that deserve more love. This is an obvious one to me as a enthusiast of this car. Early Subaru Impreza WRX models. By early, what I generally mean is the early US cars. So that would mean 2002 to 2005-ish, the Bug-Eye, Hawkeye era. Blah, blah. But it's also true of the Japanese imports. They also do not clear 10 grand by much. I think they are all still basically clearing 10 grand, but the 02 to 04, 05 US WRXs often sell for under 10 grand. Now, I want to be very clear about something. A lot of these early WRXs have been modified in a not great way. A lot of them are badly beaten, badly worked on. But we sold this nice one, this blue one, that was like a clean one owner, had a little rust, rust, but like it was a very usable, serviceable car. It was blue, the right color, clean one owner for $7,400. And I found we had a silver wagon that was pretty similar, little rust, but like a clean car, unmodified, that also went for a similar money. And that's pretty cool. 227 horsepower is not that much by enthusiast standards today, but it was a lot back then, and it's especially a lot for $7,400, right? Like $7,400, you try to buy a Corolla or a Civic, it's even hard to find a nice one of those. But the fact that you can still buy an okay WRX at that money is pretty cool, especially to a guy who, this car came out when I was 14 years old, and you can imagine. I mean, we had played Gran Turismo our whole lives. And I didn't really realize it was happening, but looking back on it now, I do. Like, it was amazing to be 16 in what I now view to be one of the great eras of the automobile, the mid-2000s. But the WRX especially, making a return to the US in 02, and then the STI coming in 04, and the Evo coming in 03. This was a massive deal. And it's still, I still believe it to be a very cool car. It is still punchy and fun to drive. And if you don't think it's fast enough, you can mod it. Buy it for $7,500. And then when you collect your paychecks from GameStop or Whataburger, you put it into the WRX. Like, that's what you did. That's what you did back then. That's what you still do. And I just think it's an incredibly cool car for the money. And I am surprised that they are cheap. It's not that shocking. A lot of them were made, a lot of them are poorly modded, but for under 10 grand, it really does seem like a deal, especially because you buy and sell it, you don't really lose anything except the reliability issues and money you put into it. Okay, next one, six best cars for under 10 grand. I have a huge caveat here, but I really have to bring this car up. The Mazda RX-8. Huge caveat, they are unreliable. The rotary motor is difficult. The reason these cars are so cheap is because of this. You have to be a rotary enthusiast to own this car. You cannot just be a guy who has an RX-8. You have to know what you're doing, know how to take care of the car, know what specialist to use for it. It is not easy to own. However, the Mazda RX-8, it's interesting. I have always thought it was one of the ugliest cars ever made. Like, I think the front is too long, the wheel arches are too big. The fact that it's not a coupe just stretches out a coupe body in a weird way. I hate it. And begrudgingly, several years ago, I went and reviewed one, and it changed my entire mind when I drove the car. And it is not often that I go to review a car and realize in the review that the car is so incredible to drive, but that's what happened there. And I still, to this day, have pangs of thoughts of wanting to own an FD or maybe an RX-8. The rotary engine is just, for all the pain that it causes, is just so magical. For years, I was like, the FD RX-7, the most beautiful Japanese car ever made. People put LS V8s in them. That's so great. You get the best of all worlds. You get a reliable engine with easy parts availability, and you get, this beautiful car. And I've in time come to realize that you're losing what is maybe the best part of the whole car, which is this perfectly balanced, high revving, incredibly smooth, eager, potent, exciting powertrain. RX-8s are cheap. This one that I'm highlighting here is a 29,000 mile car we sold 2 years ago, but the market hasn't moved since, trust me, with a manual transmission for $9,500. 29,000 miles, car's barely been driven. That's probably a bad thing for the rotary. If you're willing to go down the rotary road and deal with it, it is just so good. It is just so good. You got the best of the fact that it was a Mazda and they know how to tune a car, a sports car, for steering and handling. And you got the best of this incredible powertrain and the fantastic balance of this car. I still believe these cars are ugly. I think the interior is silly with all the circles. Nonetheless, it is, I think, one of the great driving Japanese cars of all time. That and the FD, and it is just so damn much fun. And for under 10 grand, it's hard to avoid if you feel like you're up to the task of maintaining one. Okay, next on the list of best cars for under 10 grand. I've done 3 sports cars. Let's go luxury. This is a really obvious one. W126 Mercedes-Benz models. So the W126 was the S-Class that was basically sold throughout the 80s. It went into like 90, 91, but it was like basically like 1980 to 1990 essentially. And it is unbelievable to me how affordable these cars are. The reason they're so affordable is because Mercedes-Benz made 1 billion of them. I mean, 1 billion. And because they are bulletproof reliable. And so a lot of them have survived. Like, these were considered special cars by their first owners who took good care of them. Second owners, same thing. But even if they hadn't, like, unlike the later S-classes, like the 220, which came out in 2000, 99, these cars just were gonna last. Like, you didn't have to maintain them all that well for them to last. And as a result, like, they're just kind of a dime a dozen cars. Even though they're beautiful, reliable, and pretty powerful, you could just find them cheap. Like, we sell them on Cars and Bids often for under 10 grand. I've specifically highlighted this because it's a coupe. This 560 SEC was white over green, so it was the biggest powertrain, the coupe body, which has a value premium, but obviously not a big one because this one sold for $9,200. Now, this car has 140,000 miles on it, but my experience with W126s is you got years left. Like, if you maintain the car well, you can easily double that mileage figure. It more becomes a question of your own attrition rather than the cars. And this thing, it still looks good. It still drives nicely. It still gets you respect on the road. You're driving a big body, old school Benz. People like it. People think it's cool. People think you're a kingpin of some variety. It's a special car, and it is reliable, and it is relatively powerful. I would only get a V8. The 560s had 240 horsepower. Not a huge number, but by the standards of its time, it was good. And it is a solid 240 horsepower. Like, you can use all of it. There is no fear that you're going to destroy the car if you're really going after it. Not that you want to in that car. They were just damn good, solid, reliable, good luxury cars that had a cool style and a cool presence. And so many luxury cars in today's world are so disposable. Like, you can buy an E65 BMW 7 Series for under 10 grand, but you never would because they had so many issues and problems with the powertrain, and the tech was horrible, and the design has aged terribly. But from the era of this S-Class, like, you could trust, like a quality car meant a reliable car. And you could trust that it was gonna be a good, reliable, like, bulletproof car. And it was, and it is. And I think it's amazing that they're relatively affordable, considering that they just run so reasonably well, and they're such good cars, and they have big V8 power, and they have cool style even all these years later. Very nice cars. Okay, next on my list, 6 best cars for under 10 grand. The next 2 are actually kind of like categories of cars, but whatever. The next one is Quirky JDM Weirdness. So these are Japanese market cars that are imported to the United States, and then they sell, often on Cars and Bids, often for under 10 grand. It is shocking to me how cheap some special JDM cars will be. I'm talking about fire trucks. I'm talking about Toyota Land Cruiser fire trucks. I'm talking about Toyota Centuries, like the ultimate Japanese luxury car. I'm talking about Honda Beats, which is actually, the Honda Beat is a pretty cool sports car. Suzuki Cappuccino, same thing. Basically, all of these cars are gettable for under 10 grand. And the cool thing here, 2 cool things here. Number one, a lot of them don't have that many miles. In Japan, the culture of driving is not as significant as it is here. People do not drive as much. They also preserve the cars better. So like a car with 70,000 miles in Japan is in better shape because cars in Japan sort of have to maintain a high level of excellence in order to remain road legal. They are much stricter in Japan about their road legality. And as a result of that, Japanese cars for many years have been the lifeblood of a lot of other markets that are not as strict about quality. So if you go to Malta, a right-hand drive country, you will see a lot of ex-Japanese cars that weren't good enough for Japan, but they're good enough for Malta, an island in the Caribbean. If you go to New Zealand, you see a ton of ex-Japanese cars, and now starting to come into the States, more and more of these cars. And it is shocking to me how some of these cars will just not sell for all that much money. People will go to the trouble of importing a boring Toyota sedan, but it only has 20,000 miles on it. And you're thinking that car has a lot of life left, and it'll sell on Cars and Bids for $6,500. And it's not like it's cheap, like it's unusually cheap. It's just what the market values these cars at. And I just think to myself, like, these cars deserve to be more valuable. They're quirky, they're weird. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not that quirky. They're just sort of a normal Japanese wagon that is now here. But like having a right-hand drive, never sold in the States car is kind of a quirky proposition in general. And it is just amazing to me, like truly amazing, how relatively affordable these cars are and how much life is left in so many of them because the Japanese market does such a good job of maintaining their cars, keeping the miles low, and keeping the condition good. And so I would say that quirky Japanese cars are something that always pick upable for under 10 grand, and it is almost always a pretty cool thing. Now, you run into parts availability issues, you crash the car, body panels are not easy to find, repair, if the engine was never sold here, it might not be easy to find repair manuals, that kind of thing, but nonetheless, like, these cars are out there and they are cool and they are special, and for 10 grand, it is absolutely worth a look, even if you just want a reliable car. Yes, you're driving on the wrong side of the car, but even if you just want like a good, reliable used car, that is one. And finally, last kind of category of cars, 6 best cars for under 10 grand, survivor cars, sort of in the vein of the JDM stuff that survived. It is astonishing to me what a low mileage, boring car, how cheaply they sell. This Toyota Camry is a good example. This is a 93 Camry with only 49,000 miles. We sold it for $7,800. A lot of people took these 93 Camrys to 200,000 miles, which suggests to me that this car probably has a lot of life left, even if you're not an enthusiast and you just want like a regular car, like for your new driver, son or daughter, or your grandparent, whatever it is. You just want like a reliable go-to-town car. Like, this is that for $7,800. Like, I think this car probably can get you another 10 plus years of life, no problem. And you can buy it for $7,800. And that's not just true of this car, that's all survivors. Take a look at this Crown Victoria. 37,000 mile Crown Victoria, we sold it for $6,900. This is what the market is on these cars. There is not an enormous amount of interest in buying these cars. There is not like a collectability to these survivor cars. The market has not deemed a Camry or a Crown Victoria, or in the case of this Honda Accord Coupe, the market has not deemed these cars special enough to start valuing at higher rates. And so they just don't. These cars remain pretty affordable, pretty rational, pretty reasonably priced, even though they have a lot of life left in them. So I look at it not from an enthusiast perspective, like, ooh, a Crown Vic. I look at it from the perspective of someone who wants a good used car. And I think, like, this is a pretty damn good used car for under 10. It's not as safe as a modern car. It's not going to be as reliable as buying, you know, a new Toyota Corolla, but that's $30,000. That's a $30,000 car. This Crown Vic at $6,300, yeah, it's not as efficient, not as reliable. It's still only got however many 30,000 miles, 35,000 miles. There is a lot of life in this car, and you can get a lot out of it. And for under 10 grand, these survivor cars, I think, are such bargains when you look at it from that perspective. I think a lot of people look at it from an enthusiast perspective and say, 93 Camry, who cares? But if you're thinking of it as like I just want a good used car, this is a good used car that has a lot of life left in it at a shockingly reasonable budget. If you live in New York City, you don't have a car, you're not going to use a car often, you just want something to park on the street and drive up to the country occasionally. If you're taking a car to college or for a new driver or whatever, or you want a car to your guests come and visit, or you want to park it at the train station because you don't want your nice car to get damaged, $7,800. This is easy. This is an easy decision for all that stuff. So there you go. Those are the six cars that I think are the best cars you can get for under 10 grand. Some sports cars in there, some good used cars in there, but most importantly, some great consumer advice.